This is a video showing how to use the Cirrostratus etc. system for real-time communications, phone calls, video calls, audio calls via the net, and how it links into the database and customer relationship management system so you can handle urgent calls from your client base. Now, it uses the Chrome browser, and here we can see 3 pages. One is the login page, which is obviously for a user to log in and deal with calls. Another one is the contact monitor, which can be used by anybody to look at what's going on, who you can talk to at that stage. And a third one, which is the switchboard, where somebody may be monitoring how things are going on and taking control of calls and things like this. So if we start now, I've switched the audio off on the computer because otherwise you get lots of feedback. We may even get a bit of feedback anyway if we start talking into it because of the 2 microphones. But let's have a go then. So somebody dials a number. Go on, dial away. Right, this is from a phone by the side of me. And you see how it crops up on the screen there as calling, and on the switchboard it says pre-start. Now, the call initially is taken control of,
You can leave a message while waiting if you wish.
but is in fact still ringing, so the user could answer it. But in fact, if the user wants to send a message to somebody, they can say,
"We cannot talk at the moment. Please tell me your name and phone number and we will phone you later." Please
so by
now
clicking
tell us
these
what your
buttons
problem is.
on the web page, it gives messages.
Please go away now.
Right, or we can even send them some music. And obviously it will take a call. And if we look here, we see that the user's thought to be on call. And this actually says what's going on with the call there. So if we go back to this, we can then end that particular call. Now it may be, for instance, that you would want to monitor what messages somebody is leaving without actually talking to them. Well, what we have on the screen there is we have a muted response, so you listen to what somebody's saying to the answer phone, even if you're using a mobile phone, whereas if you click on this button here, it answers the call, and that one obviously ends the call. So that's an example of how the system handles calls, which is to enable people to decide whether they want to talk to people without necessarily people finding out that that's the case, but also it goes on to answering a call without waiting first for people to respond beyond a few seconds. So if we, for instance, respond to it quickly, we can respond to it quickly, and you can hear me. It gets a bit of feedback here. And the other thing you see is it looks up the phone number in the database here, and then it finds that phone number relates to a particular client, and you're doing various things for that client, which you can then look at in the CRM if you wish to do so. So what from the phone number, it identifies what you're dealing with for people who might be phoning from that number immediately, which is quite a useful thing. And then we go on to there and there. Now, if we look at how to get phone lines for a particular user, we can then look at manage phone lines here, and we see there are actually a number of phone lines here, and the system will enable if we say we want a phone number in, say, Brighton 01273, we can search for available phone numbers for Brighton, and let's deallocate, for instance. Actually, I'm going to do this. I'll pause the video and I'll do this on a slightly different user, just to make it easier. Right, now I've put this on a different user, and this one's currently attached to a Birmingham phone number. So if we phone that number, we can answer a number from there, and you can see that that's confusing things a little bit because it's coming out feedback again. Right, so now if what we do is we go on to manage the phone line, we deallocate that number, and we look for a number, say in Brighton, 01273 is Brighton. So we search for available numbers in Brighton and we pick, say, that number there, which is 01273. There we go. Allocate that number. We could register the address for 999 calls, and we can find out the status as well. Alright, find out the number status. And then if we go back to the call here, it's now the user is logged in with a Brighton number. And we can phone a Brighton number instead, and that's then answered. And that shows how phone numbers can be allocated. So that's a rough introduction on how to use the real-time communications aspects of the Cirrostratus system.